Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Virgo for October 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where if you are drawn to my courses, I can assist you in creating a vocation you love and becoming geographically free. So what's going on in the month of October? We have all kinds of things to talk about for the general transits. I break my videos up into two parts. The first part is specific to Virgo, so it's relevant if you have Virgo rising, Virgo sun, or Virgo moon, depending on whatever placement you're watching for Virgo. And then the second part of the video is the general transits that are true for everyone, but don't be tempted to skip over that because it is very relevant for you. I talk about specific aspects, dates to look out for, and things that you can see with those manifestations. So we'll talk more about that later because we're still in this open window for pushing things forward. It's a magical open time. So the theme of the month for all Virgos, I'm calling Pull the Me card. So we can't really make a ton of, scathing generalizations about an individual's personality based just on their sun sign, because each person is so much more than their sun sign or their rising sign or any other placement. But there are definitely traits that tend to be true and are true a high percentage of the time. Especially the more placements you have in that sign, the more it's true. So Virgo energy tends to be very focused on helping other people. All of my Virgo friends and clients that have significant Virgo placements are always doing stuff for other people. One of my best friends is a Virgo. She's running animal rescue stuff. She's got 10,000 dogs in her house at any given time. She's helping seniors, eat and take care of themselves. I mean, she's just there for everybody. And that's a wonderful Virgo trait that most Virgo placements tend to have. I've been working with you on a theme, and really for all signs on a theme of remembering that each individual in a holographic reality, each individual is the world. So when we look out in the world and say, oh dear, the resources are being, used and not replenished, and we're living unsustainably, and something has to be done. Okay, yes, that's true. But we're the world, so you're the world. So if you are using your energetic resources unsustainably, then you are a part of that holographic issue. The way that we shift a general experience in the world is by treating our own hologram, our own fractal existence, in the way that we want the outer realms to look like. So it's very important, especially when a bunch of planets gather in the first house, as they are for Virgo placements at this time, for you to look at the focus on self and start to or get deeper into shifting how you're looking at self-care. Before, it was probably last. Maybe for some of you still, it could still be last. And you have to start to bump that into a balance, because if you're tired or you're sick or you're dead, you can't help anybody. And this is very, very seriously true. If you are not guarding your health, not guarding your gold, your energy, then you're not going to be able to help other people the way you want to. And also you're modeling for other people. So when you can give to everybody, but then also be caring for yourself, it helps other people see that it's really good for them to do that. And this actually changes the imprint of the global experience, which is very exciting and empowering. So things that can go on during this transit. Issues with self-esteem can come up. Self-esteem can be enhanced, or anything where there's a weakness can show up. You might take more note of your physical appearance. Clothing, buying a new wardrobe, buying new jewelry, getting new hair stuff, anything with how you redo your image. And it's a really good time to do this too, because we have a period of time from September 15th to November 20th, where no personal planets are in retrograde. So this, is a brief window that we have. And it's very helpful for when you want to buy things or spend money on something or make a big decision like to cut your hair or color your hair, or even update your car or update your communication device. Anything that you think is part of your image is represented here in the first house. Is the way that you clothe yourself and present yourself, your business cards, your website, your whatever, in sync with what you're trying to do with your work? You know, are you trying to create an image that you have inconsistencies with that image? You know, so these are the things to be asking questions about, and these are the things to be doing something about, and you have an open window to do them. So it's good to put some resources towards this. If you have to take some pictures for a website or for some other marketing or anything else, when Venus is in the first house, as it is for all you early degree placements, it will be for some of you the early middle degree placements, but then later in the month, the middle degree placements, and then towards the end of the month, the late degree placements. Venus in the first house actually can help you look more photogenic. So it can assist you in picking the perfect things for how you're looking. Some of the focus might just be on health, purely health and self-care, and have nothing to do with beauty or physical appearance otherwise. This is a fantastic time to start a new exercise regimen, to get assistance with training or building muscle or anything that you have to do for your physical body, getting health checkups, starting any kind of treatments. Even surgeries could be well indicated it's complicated. I can't really easily give surgery advice based on a general transit because there are some dicey transits, which I'll talk about later in the general transit. But there's a lot of good energy usable for important things like that, including cosmetic alterations. So that's the gist of the first house. This is the lens that you see life through, the first house. This is the mask that, we experience things through and that other people look at us through. So it's very much about image, self, and otherwise. So now I want to talk about these great dates. We have the luckiest day of the year this month. I want to talk about some challenging dates and talk about Jupiter moving into Scorpio, because that's a really big deal. Jupiter changes signs once a year, so we're going to get into all of that now. So I'm calling the theme of the month for all signs, purge and merge. And this is from the short-term and actually now introduction to this long-term energy in Scorpio that is being brought in as a theme. We've got personal planets which move more quickly and talk about the energy over a number of weeks, moving into the sign of Scorpio. But we also have Jupiter changing signs into the sign of Scorpio, and it will be there for a year. So, do you ever notice that when you clear out a shelf, before you know it, the shelf is full again? This is just an example of how energy moves. Space wants to be filled. So the best way to usher change or new things in is to make space for those things. And so this energy this month is very much about releasing so that you can make room for more things to come in. And there will be a strong theme, a Scorpio-based theme about what those things are that will be coming in. So we're talking about purging items and beliefs and dynamics, anything clutter, anything that is no longer serving you. If you have a way of looking at something that is limiting you, then we're talking about letting go of that idea or that way of seeing things. This is a very all-encompassing release and letting go. So some themes that are going to be present this month as the general transit story for everyone, but again will be present as this kind of constant long-term theme for around a year, also has to do with anything Scorpio based, basically. So psychology, astrology is in there from the psychological perspective of astrology. Any esoteric or occult studies, so basically exploring the riches of the lesser seen realms. That's the energy of Scorpio, the things that are lesser seen, intangible things. The topic of other people's money is a big one. So anything involving loans, debt, credit, capital funding, inheritances, marital money, parents' money, inheritances, I said that one already. Anything having to do basically where resources that come to you from somewhere else. So investments, anything kind of hard to, stocks are really, they're intangible. And that's what places them in this realm, and loans and money that's somewhere present on paper, but it's hard to track where the money actually is. That's the eighth house dominion. So sweepstakes, lottos, lotto winnings, anything like that, financial support or assistance of any kind, empowering others or being empowered yourself in any way, the process of self-empowerment, the journey of self-empowerment, research, investigation, intimacy, sex, power, birth, death, rebirth, like the phoenix rising from the ashes is basically this energy of Scorpio. So these are the themes that are really dominating the energy now, and they will be for a while to come. So now I want to talk about a couple of other noteworthy things before I get into some of the individual transits. Remember that we are still in this last window of the year for launching things, pushing things forward. Towards the end of September, we started this open window free from personal planets being retrograde, and that continues until November 15th. So all of October is in this open window. If you're trying to make a big decision, if you're trying to push something forward, if you want to move, sign a lease, sign a contract, there are lots of open energies where communication is flowing more freely because of not, being in detriment from the retrograde. So take as much action as you feel drawn to. Don't make yourself too crazy over it. This open window time is a time to push a little bit. It's time to push, but you always have to honor your own intuition with that, because sometimes it happens so often. I can't tell you how often I see this happen with people that I work with and myself. If I think I should be doing something, or you think you should be doing something, and then you're not, and then time passes and something happens and you're like, oh gosh, I'm really glad I didn't do that thing, It's because that was intuition holding you back. You might have thought it was fear, you might have thought you were being lazy, but the more you tune into your intuition, you can tell the difference between something energetically telling you to wait and some sort of issue within yourself that you have to overcome to be able to move forward. It's a very tricky dance to try to figure out when you're supposed to push a little harder to get through something and when you are supposed to be honoring the things that seem to be saying hold off. But in any case, you'll have a lot of opportunity to push through limitations and do certain things anyway, work a little bit harder during this open window. And then you can have lots of notable outcomes in the months and even beyond that to come. This is the last window before I guess it's the second to last window before this big wall of retrogrades that we have next year. Next year, most of the year is spent in a personal planet retrograde, and usually more than one personal planet being retrograde at once. We've got the Mercury retrograde cycles, we have a Venus retrograde cycle, and we have a Mars retrograde cycle. So a little bit into January through the beginning of March is our only really open window all of 2018 without a personal planet being retrograde. So for launches, pushing things forward, there's a little space there somewhere around the beginning of May. I think I have to go back and check that, but I know that there's a little, very small window somewhere else if you have to push a couple of things in later on into the year. But otherwise, the whole thing is dominated by retrogrades. So if you're going to launch a website, launch a YouTube channel, launch a book, start a business, officially get, documents that LLC or whatever you're going to do, something official. You want to try, if you're intuitively led this way, to get these kind of things done in this window or in the window that's early in 2018. So hopefully you can find your balance between what you have to push through and what Spirit might be telling you to hold off on. So we do also have one of the luckiest days of the year this month, which is around October 26th. The actual transit of the Sun joining with Jupiter happens on the 26th. Sometimes you feel that energy the day before, sometimes you feel that energy the day after, but it's just very lucky and very wonderful and very well lit up. I remember last time this happened, last year, I was expecting it on the day, that the transit was happening. but the day before was when it hit for me, and it was just like, whoa, this is so Jupiter Sun, you know. So just follow the flow, because we give you these dates as guidelines, but the energies, the manifestations from transits can happen before or after the actual transit. So you have to be feeling into them. And a lot of times there are transits going on at the same time. So like a really good transit could be happening right at the same time as a challenging one. So you have to really tune in to make sure things are flowing for you personally, and not just base your decisions on a date per se. You know, it's a very individual process because our charts are very complex, and general horoscopes can't speak to all of the other things that are going on in your chart. Only you can feel that. Okay, so let's talk about some of these other aspects. We start out the month with a really beautiful aspect, Mars trining Pluto. So this is the second and last time that this aspect will occur. It occurred before on April 6th. So it can bring courage and confidence and determination. So if you need some oomph to push something through, then the energy around this time could be helpful with that. And you might feel that even towards the end of September, a few days before the October 1st or a few days after. On October 3rd, we have the follow-up here, which is Venus making a trine to Pluto. And this is all happening in Earth energy, because Mars in Virgo and then Venus in Virgo are making the trine to Pluto in Capricorn. So this is very grounded, this is very stable, this is very practical. And there are lots of things that you can do with that energy. So Venus rules love, beauty, money. Mars rules, your energy, how you use it. And by the way, I am giving you some details about some of the transits that I see most notable for this month. But if you'd like a written version of the general transits, then definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I send out a monthly newsletter like clockwork. If you have signed up for my email and you're not getting the emails, you need to contact me, because there's something up. They could be going to spam or promotions or events folders or something like that, because I send it out every month, a month early. So I'll be sending out this October one to my list in the beginning of September, so that you have a visual version of the general transits, because sometimes it's easier to process that way and to keep track and to make your plans. Okay, so on October 5th, we have a full moon at almost 13 degrees of Aries. Full moons bring fullness and completion, and sometimes drama, and sometimes things coming to fruition in a magical way. You know, it's a welling up. I always think of it as a dog shaking off water, because water represents emotion, you know, and that's what we do at the full moon. It's just like a shaking off of all this emotional buildup in our fields. You might notice, if you spend a moon cycle connecting with the earth, like putting your bare feet and hands in the earth, even laying on the earth, and doing emotional clearing exercises, that the energy buildup at the full moon might be a little bit more manageable for you. If you happen to be overwhelmed with the emotions of the full moon, then you can experiment with trying to discharge energy from your field for the cycle before and see what your personal rhythm is. But the fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama, comes in the sector of individuality and self-image. So this can bring a lot of attention to you. You know, this can mean a lot of people are looking at you. It could also mean that you weren't looking at something within yourself that you have to. Sometimes there is a symptom or a health ailment that you've been ignoring, and sometimes a full moon in Aries will bring it up, bring it to fruition. Speaking of which, I wanted to mention earlier, I want to make sure to mention now, is the state of our adrenals very much is related to how we experience astrological transits, because our adrenals rule a lot of different things. It's very complex, the amount of physiological things that are connected to the adrenal glands. But when we are running on overtime, stressed all the time, our adrenals get burnt out. And people joke about this and say, oh, my adrenals are shot, and they go on with their lives. Well, if you hear any message from this video, I hope it's take your adrenal state more seriously than any astrological forecast, because how you tolerate stress, how you make decisions, how you hold anger, how you respond, how you tune into your heart messages and your intuition is all going to be connected to the state of your adrenals in many cases. So when the transits come and exert pressure on you, if you're already super stressed and your body is just overwhelmed because you're not babying your adrenals, then you're going to have more of a challenging experience processing challenging things that come. It's harder to handle things gracefully when your adrenals are stressed. So you've got to check in with your doctor and yourself and your own research to see what the best way is to balance and be nice to your adrenals, but definitely feel into it because because things like this can supersede some astrological things, or at least definitely shift how you experience the astrology and put you in a more clear position to use the positive energies while softening and mitigating some of the challenging transits. Okay, so October 8th, we've got Venus in Virgo square Saturn in Sagittarius. So pressure is put on finances and relationships and likely self-esteem. Whenever Saturn is in a challenging angle to a planet, the pressure and stress is they're the key words that come along with this. And since Venus rules love, beauty, self-esteem, money, some pressure will come there. Then we have on October 9th, Mercury and the Sun together, okay, and in Libra, and those are both squaring Pluto. So again, when you have a square, this is a challenging angle. This can be stressful. So negativity and suspicions could run high now. There could be an antagonistic force coming towards you, or it could be an internal source, which usually it is under the guise of an external force. But very often, especially when Pluto is involved, there's inner riches to come out. So sometimes we get lazy, and unless we have a bit of pressure, we don't find places within ourselves that are waiting to be revealed. So this could be a little pressure, this could be a little stress, but you also could find some hidden riches from that. On October 10th, this Jupiter entering Scorpio that I spent some time talking about before. So this is going to last for around a year. Jupiter transits are around a year. On October 11th, we've got Mars squaring Saturn in Sag. So you notice the trend here. Obviously, Mars and Venus are close together. And so Mars will make an aspect, and then Venus will make an aspect. So now here we have Mars making this, this square to Saturn after Venus already made the square. So this is, whenever Saturn's involved, there's usually like some sort of older or allegedly wiser or more established energy, or someone who happens to have the say, even if they're not older or wiser, a Saturnian force that's working against your movement. Mars represents movement. Trying to be a perfectionist at this point might be harder now. So just kind of feel into that, because flexibility might be able to push you through this transit a little bit better. October 12th, we have Mercury and Saturn in a nice angle. So this is good for concentrating and figuring out solutions. So if you have anything come up from the previous transit with Mars and Saturn, then this could be assistive to you. October 15th, we have Mercury in Libra opposing Uranus in Aries. Whenever the planet of communication is opposing this random, erratic, or seemingly random and erratic force of Uranus, it definitely increases nervous tension. So using all of your tools to support your adrenals, to keep yourself balanced now, because there's going to be a tendency to rush into things, into agreements. And it's not the best thing to rush in. If you're feeling very nervous, you have to make a decision, then you might be better off not making the decision if you can help it, because making it from this stressed place could have annoying repercussions. So on the 16th, we've got the Sun in Libra making a nice angle to Saturn. So this can bring a burst of support or respect from someone in charge or someone who you admire. October 18th, we have Mercury in Scorpio making a conjunction to Jupiter in Scorpio. So we talked about, and I'll mention again, this Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio aspect on the 26th. Mercury coming and joining with Jupiter also carries good luck and also carries positive energy and good news. It's one of the typical transits of good news. So that's happening. And then on October 19th, we have the new moon at 26 degrees of Libra. Whenever there's a new moon, there are new open possibilities, and you make your 10 new moon wishes now on the subjects of Libra. So anything about partnerships or relationships of any kind, diplomatic communications, anything about trying to resolve, find a win-win solution, work together on a project, anything, and of course, not coincidentally that I'm mentioning this, Libra rules the adrenals. So this is all of the Libra energy this month is really assistive, and I would think it's a good idea to make one of your wishes. Please help me to really support my adrenals and keep them in a balanced state, or better yet, say thank you for my perfectly functioning adrenals. And then you feel that as if it's true. You feel yourself being emotionally balanced and mentally clear. I have a video that talks about using astrological power periods, how you can most use those energies. So if you just search for Making Wishes Annie, anywhere on the internet, I'm pretty sure that comes up. If not, you can find it on my channel. So on October 24th, we've got another sweet aspect with Mercury trining Neptune. So this is a sweet, dreamy aspect. It's really good for romantic or artistic or personal, quiet, spiritual ventures. The 26th, we have that Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter, which can bring lots of luck. On the 27th, we've got Venus in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So some challenges could come here, even though we've got a lucky energy the day before. So this is what I mean about these, dueling energies. We never know which energies are going to be more present when. So you just have to tune into your personal situation. And so the Venus square Pluto can bring this surfacing of deep issues regarding power, regarding control, especially as it relates to love and money and self-esteem. So it's not usually the best time to act on strong feelings because you'll have a lot of, tension in your solar plexus. That's our control center, our third chakra. So this type of aspect usually brings up something that gets us tight in there. So always, of course, making a decision from that space isn't usually the best thing to do, but doing inner work or seeking other psychological support for the issue is very good at this time. And on the same day, we have another nice aspect, which is, and I don't want to say that the challenging aspects aren't nice. I just mean, we feel them. They make us feel bad sometimes, but sometimes the feeling bad can be productive, and so they can turn out to be nice, but that wouldn't be the first word we'd use to describe them. Whereas this Mercury in Scorpio making a nice angle to Pluto in Capricorn, this is something that can bring answers to deep questions, powerful breakthroughs, and intentionally using this energy for meditation and integration will go a very long way. So you can also have clear understanding of long-standing dynamics that involve relationships with people and money. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for the month of October. Definitely look at my website for a new offering I'm going to have available very soon, a new school that I'm starting. Also check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where I have my coach training, my online business course training. I have my astrology apprenticeship program, so you can see if there are still slots in those, and also check out my Train Your Brain subliminal bundles, where you can be shifting your neurological patterning as you listen to nice, relaxing outside sounds. And if you'd like to see more about what's up for you for the month for you, for your sign, check out my husband, B.R. Newman's Taroscopes, and you can look him up under B.R. Newman, Neumann, or see them at imhelios.com. You can check out my website and all of my offerings at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter and get your written version of the general transits out. Also, other things come along with that sometimes. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.